Fellas, I figured I'd go through another one of my builds real quick for the S rank guides. This one kind of addresses the issue of the original build, the knocked rare being very squishy comparatively and having limited DPS in a couple of situations. Um, so just to get right into it, this is very strong for basically every mission for a lot of reasons. Piece by piece, the right arm and left arm are the DFGA 08 Hu Ben. Both of those are 170k a pop. Your DPS with these is so high, and they have a very high stun for being hit scan. So it kind of enables you just to, at medium to close range, roll up to anything and just hose it down. They work very well with the right and left back units, the V60 SMA. The first one you get for free for completing the quest before you fight the Ice Worm. The second one you have to purchase for 283k, but these are absolute powerhouses at stunning and pumping DPS into bosses, particularly at close range. Ideally, you wheel up, use both your right unit, left unit, and arm units, and then you just full pump the boss, stun to dead. That's kind of the setup. For the frame, the head, I have the AHJ 124 Basho. It's 61k, relatively cheap, and it kind of was only picked just to make sure that everything else fits into the load. For the core, you have the DF BD8 Tianchang. This is 390k. Really nice core for durability. It's a nice heavy piece, so you aren't just getting one shot for coming into close range in combat. For the arms, we have the knocked rare 4060 again. What is there to say about arms aside from knocked rare is the best? 138k, and the main reason you take this, the firearm specialization is ridiculous. You have 160 firearm specialization, which, about the elaborated stats, firearm specialization impacts the tracking of your weapons. So the higher it is, the better your weapons track. This makes it so that if you are in melee range, you are effectively locked 100% of the time, barring crazy high mobility situations. So it turns you into a hit scan powerhouse when you're within optimal firing range. The legs, I have the ELTL11 Fortaleza. These are 385k. I had someone previously suggest to me the LG22T Born Missa, but I personally think that those legs are just like strictly inferior for a lot of reasons, right? So obviously they provide a lot more physical bulk, but at the same time, your cornering, all your mobility is just so heavily compromised on, to the point where certain missions, especially ones that revolve around like protecting stationary targets where you have to kill things that spawn in immediately, otherwise they will damage them, or protecting like mobile targets where you have to be ahead of something, example like the transport copter level. You will never be able to get into range to kill things quickly enough if you have the Bormissa as legs. They are just so slow comparatively. In my opinion, almost unusable in a lot of setups. So the Fortaleza are definitely the way to go. For booster, we don't have anything because we're using tank treads, so there are no boosters. Targeting system, we have the FC6 Abbott. It's 135k. easily one of the better targeting systems overall. Uh, I have been asked why do I not use the like IA CO1F Ocellus. Um, the the reason the Abbott is better, in my opinion, is you still have access to medium range aiming. Uh, so oftentimes in situations you'll find yourself approaching targets and you'll have a good 2 to 3 seconds to utilize medium aiming before your close range targeting system even comes into effect, and that is just completely lost in the Ocellus. uh, sure, you have better close range targeting, but because you don't really utilize rockets, the other thing that the Ocellus is better at, there's no real reason for you to opt into that over something like the Abbott, which is almost equally as effective close range, very effective mid range, and then has no rocket targeting and is just cheaper overall and accessible earlier. Um, for the generator, we have the VP20C. It's 299 or no 229K. But this is just a standard generator to round out the build, allowing you to have the mobility that you need to get into position in missions where you have to reposition, or even just dash out of the way should you be put in the position where, because you're on ground, you need to be slightly more mobile to dodge volleys. Um, I think the total build is relatively affordable. Obviously, some of the parts you get access to later in the game, most notably the needle launchers on your back units. But I think overall, this build is a very good supplement to the original build video which I made, which I use for most speed runs. Hopefully, this helps out with like clarity on what you should be using in missions where situationally the Noctrayer build is not ideal. And enjoy your hunting.